I saw an article in Forbes magazine a few days ago from Dinesh D'Souza, an extraordinarily bright man, an extraordinarily, a guy who has, in the past, I have read some of his books and has captured, I think, the feeling and love of America like very few people can. And I'm reading this article from him in Forbes magazine, and quite honestly, I'm reading it and going, yes, thank you, yes, somebody really gets it, and has a better handle on it than I think anybody else out there. It is an explanation of what is going on. The one thing that we haven't done is we haven't looked at the philosophy of Barack Obama. You can't make sense of what they're doing in Washington. None of it makes sense. None of it fits into the mold of the President of the United States or Democrats or Republicans, or it just doesn't make sense. And when I was on after 828, and I got a lot of heat for this, but again, it's because people don't, the people on the left don't want you to hear this message. Chris Wallace said, you know, you called the president a racist, blah, blah, blah. And I said, poorly stated, and almost, I don't remember what exactly I said to him, but almost infantile in its understanding of the president. I couldn't figure out what the president was doing, and I missed the fact because I hadn't really looked into him. It becomes almost an illusion of racism. And it's not racism. It's anti-colonialism. It is, it's liberation theology, which is also, in a way, anti-colonialism. It's Marxism in its roots. And when you understand these things, all of a sudden, everything makes sense. When you understand, and we did this, how long ago? 8 months ago on television, his grandfather and his father. When you understand what they were doing, you all of a sudden can see Barack Obama and where he's going. Well, Dinesh D'Souza has a book out, The Roots of Obama's Rage. And if it is anything, I haven't read it yet, and Dinesh is here with us. Hi, Dinesh. How are you, sir?
Hey, Glenn. Good to be on the show.
Good to be with you. Pat and Pat read this article. We were carpooling the other day, and he read it out loud, and we were going back and forth, and we just kept looking at each other going, yes! Yes! Thank you, Dinesh! Is this what the whole book is about?
It is. The article is a little escargot. It's a little appetizer for the book, but there's just so much more in the book. And what's interesting is people are yelling and screaming about the article, but they have no idea what's coming in the book in about 3 weeks.
So this comes out in 3 weeks.
Yeah, the book can be pre-ordered now, but
okay.
It's on the store. It'll be in the stores in 3 weeks.
I have to tell you, Dinesh, I've read a couple of books about Barack Obama, and I don't ever finish them because they never get it right. I can guarantee you I will finish this book because you're on it. You are on it.
Well, it's my world. See, the thing is, I'm an immigrant to America. I grew up in India, and as a young boy, anti-colonialism was in the air. My father, my grandfather, India became independent from the British in 1947. So this idea, the anti-colonialist philosophy, which is the philosophy that the greedy, rapacious West is ripping off the poor countries, the idea that America is a rogue elephant in the world, stampeding across the planet, consuming resources out of its share.
Okay, hang on before you go on. When I read this in the article, I immediately looked at Pat and I said, this will connect with people if you say the story of stuff. The left, have you seen the story of stuff? The left has done the story of stuff. And we went over that like 18 months ago. That America is consuming all of the world's resources. That America has stolen things from other countries. So this is not first of all, will you deny the birther thing?
Absolutely. The birther thing is a diversion. See, Barack Obama was born August 4th, 1961, and he was born in Hawaii. And the reason we know this, the single best piece of evidence is that there were notices of his birth in 2 local newspapers.
So you have to be
all part of the plan.
Yeah, right.
It was all
you have
part
to
of the
you have to go to a Manchurian candidate
You really do.
at birth.
It's so ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
I think what's significant is that Robert Gibbs, the White House press secretary, when Newt Gingrich praised my article and praised my argument and said it was the most insightful look at Obama that he had ever seen, Gibbs, the press secretary, goes, well, they're just raising the issue of where Obama was born. So this poor guy, Gibbs, has evidently not read the article. I know he hasn't read the book. I actually want to send him a signed copy, but one for him and one for Obama.
I'm not sure he can read.
I don't know.
I've listened to his answers, so I'm not sure he can read. All right, so but let me just go back here. This has nothing to do with birthers or anything else. This doesn't have anything to do with race, and that's why I said my comment about a year and a half ago was infantile on its understanding of Obama, because that's your gut that says, wait a minute, it's about race. No, it's not. It's not about race. It is about colonialism, which is still the message of the left, that America is stealing the resources of the rest of the world.
Yeah, the problem with the race theory, and the problem with so many theories about Obama, is we all look at Obama and we try to, in a sense, project American history onto him.
Yes.
This is done on the right, it's done on the left. But we're ignoring Obama's own history. So what's interesting is all these people yell and scream, Maureen Dowd in today's New York Times yelling and screaming, implying that this is some sort of race argument, and saying, where does Dinesh get all this crazy stuff? And the answer is, I'm getting it from Obama. An interesting way to get at this is to ask, what is Obama's dream? Is it the American dream? Is it Martin Luther King's dream? And the beauty is we don't have to guess. Obama tells us himself. In his book, you pick it up, Dreams from My Father.
Hang on just a second. Dreams from my father, not dreams of my father. Dreams from my father,
which means
critical.
These are, right, I'm not writing about my father's dreams. I'm writing about the dream I got from my father. And who was Barack Obama Sr.? Once we look at this, and once we look a little more closely at him, and some of the things he's written, by the way, which are not well known. He wrote an interesting article in the East Africa Journal in 1965 about African socialism. He lays out a bunch of themes. He talks, for example, about what's the ideal rate of taxation. What is the highest permissible rate of taxation?
You'll love this, America.
And he comes to an interesting conclusion. 100%. Now, 100% taxation. Now, you might say, well, this is crazy. What rational person? But look at the anti-colonialist premise. The anti-colonialist premise is that the rich guys got rich by ripping off the poor. So, Glenn, if I got rich by coming to your house and stealing your furniture, what tax rate should be put on me? It's not my stuff. I've taken it from you unjustly. Right. So no limit to, you can come and get it all back.
Right. Now listen, if you want to look at Barack Obama and make sense of his policies, you cannot. For instance, last week, the federal government okayed a $1 billion loan to Mexico to drill for oil in the Gulf, where we've stopped drilling. Why are we loaning them $1 billion to drill where we can't? Deep sea, I told you about this about 5 months ago. We've made a gigantic loan to Brazil so they can go and do deep sea drilling off the coast of Brazil. What was it, twice as deep as what we had a problem with, and we shut down all of our oil rigs? Now, why would we take our money and give it to Brazil and give it to Mexico to do the things that we are telling, that a president is telling us is too dangerous for the environment to do?
This is absolutely critical, and in fact, I think even Obama's own supporters are misunderstanding him. They think he's a conventional liberal. They think he's like Al Gore. He thinks the planet is getting too hot. He thinks that energy consumption for the world is too high. He wants to decrease it across the board. But then we say, no, he doesn't. He wants wants to decrease energy consumption by us while increasing energy availability and consumption by them. In other words, he wants to decrease the wealth of the colonizers, the rich West, and increase the availability of wealth and energy. That's why he proposes huge global transfers of wealth from the wealthy West to the rest.